Donald Trump indicted again. Many politicians are narcissists. I explain how Boris Johnson is a narcissist, how Joe Biden is one, Bolsonaro is one, Emmanuel Macron is one, and of course Donald Trump. With Trump, he's finding himself under pressure as a consequence of more legal shenanigans. Rosina Sabur, the Washington editor of The Telegraph, reports Donald Trump indicted in classified documents case. Former president says he was told by the White House that he will face criminal charges and will surrender to authorities. Donald Trump will face federal charges, threats to control, after the US Department of Justice on Thursday night moved to prosecute the former president over claims he mishandled classified documents. Mr. Trump said on Thursday night that his lawyers had been informed by the White House that the former president will be indicted on criminal charges. The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted, seemingly over the box's host, Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform. Nullification of threat to control. Smearing the Biden administration by describing it as corrupt. Whether that is accurate or not, that is Mr. Trump's perception, and he uses that perception for the purposes of nullifying the threat to control. He also makes reference to it being a box's hoax. It's up to you whether you believe Mr. Trump or not. That's not the issue in the purpose of these videos. He may well be right that it is a hoax, or it could be that there is evidence to support that he has committed criminal acts for which he will have to answer. The fact is that these allegations, whether based upon legitimate evidence or simply politically expedient to try and cause a problem for Mr. Trump, are a threat to his control. He, as a narcissist, must subconsciously deal with those threats to control, and he does so in his usual belligerent, bombastic fashion. Not for Trump shirking these, or turning crybaby, that's not his style. As an upper lesser type B, he's in your face. That, of course, is part of his appeal, that he doesn't put a spin on things, that he calls it as is, and it's understandable why people have been drawn to him. Of course, by the same token, it winds other people up that can't stand his bragging, bombastic, belligerent behaviours. Mr. Trump wrote that he had been summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday. Appearing on CNN, Mr. Trump's attorney, James Trusty, said the indictment includes charges of willful retention of national defense information, a crime under the Espionage Act, which polices the handling of government secrets, obstruction, false statements, and conspiracy. A spokesperson for Special Counsel Jack Smith, who is handling the investigation, declined to comment. The indictment carries grave consequences, including the possibility of prison if Mr. Trump is convicted. Mr. Trump wrote on Truth Social, "I never thought it possible that such a thing could happen to a former president of the United States, who received far more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country, and is currently leading, by far, all candidates, both Democrat and Republican, in polls of the 2024 presidential election. I am an innocent man." "I am an innocent man" was in capitals. He expresses outrage as a consequence of his ignited fury at these outrageous, at least in his view, allegations that are being made. He also reinforces his popularity by making reference to the number of votes, or the fact that he received far more votes than any other sitting president in the history of the USA, and, of course, makes the bold assertion that he is currently leading by far all candidates, both Democrat and Republican, in polls of the 2024 presidential election. I don't have to hand any information to confirm whether that is correct or not, but it shows the boasting that takes place by him. If it's true, he boasts about it. If it isn't, it's a lie, but he boasts about it nevertheless. He also asserts his innocence. He's in your face. And the thing is that with President Trump, that the way that he functions is that he tackles these things head on. He's not a coward. He's not a mealy-mouthed, walnut-balled, shriveled up, mid-range narcissist. He's in your face. He's a pugilist. He takes it head on, as I've said, part of his attraction. And in bringing these charges, there are those that believe that it's expedient as a consequence of the necessity of the administration of justice. However, what they're doing is actually playing into President Trump's hands. The Donald thrives on this type of thing. Why? First of all, it's giving him fuel. Yes, it's challenge fuel. But he definitely deals with that because he'll just shout it down. He'll undermine it. He will basically take his own hammer of justice and beat down these accusations as he nullifies the threat to control that they pose. Bang, bang, bang. But it also utilizes this, not with a victim mentality, although he'll have one as a narcissist, but his isn't particularly prevalent. When he talks about the fact that it's a hoax and that there are people who are out to get him, that there are people who are trying to derail him, he's not doing it in the way that Harry's wife would, by playing the victim. He's basically saying, this is how it is, and they ain't troubling me. This is what they're up to, folks. I'm calling it, and I'll deal with it. In actual fact, those that make the allegations against Trump are giving him the very thing that he wants, fuel, but also they are not causing huge threats to his control. Although they are threats to control, they're not huge because he deals with them readily, but also welcomes them. Because he so deftly deals with them and then turns it around to say, see, they're frightened of me. They're so concerned by my popularity that they will result in moving to underhand methods of trying to stop me. That's how powerful I am. I've got them on the run. I've got them frightened. They're trumping up charges against the Trump. They are engaging in scurrilous behavior with false accusations and box hoaxes. It gives him the platform that he craves and also thrives upon. It also means that he's more likely to get support because those that support him also buy into this narrative that he's been unduly persecuted by certain aspects of the deep state for the purposes of trying to prevent him returning to power. And it makes him more popular. Whether the accusations are legitimate or not, the method of going about it in this way is simply giving Trump more of what he wants. He continued by stating, "It is a dark day for the United States of America. We are a country in serious and rapid decline, but together we will make America great again." He is smearing the Biden administration with that, and of course is offering promised gain as a consequence of saying that he'll make America great again. He has also made several unsubstantiated claims about Joe Biden, claiming the president has 1,850 boxes at the University of Delaware, additional boxes in Chinatown, D.C., with even more boxes at the University of Pennsylvania, and documents strewn all over his garage floor where he parks his Corvette, which is secured by only a garage door that is paper-thin and open much of the time. The Telegraph describes them as unsubstantiated. There's certainly quite a lot of detail there. It may well be that these are true claims that have yet to be substantiated, and he's utilising the truth for the purposes of a direct assault on Joe Biden for the purposes of asserting control over him. If, of course, these are false accusations that are being made, it's a simple case of it is the truth according to Donald Trump, but he's utilising nowhere near the truth. US prosecutors have in recent days moved towards prosecuting Mr. Trump over his alleged retention of classified documents. The Justice Department has spent months investigating whether Mr. Trump broke the law by removing hundreds of government records, including some of America's most closely guarded secrets, after leaving office in 2021. If he did so, this exhibits a sense of entitlement and a lack of accountability. Federal prosecutors this week informed Mr. Trump's lawyers that he is the target of the criminal investigation. The investigation that is being led by Mr. Smith, an independent special counsel, is also considering whether Mr. Trump or his associates obstructed their efforts to investigate his retention of government records. On Monday, 3 of Mr. Trump's lawyers met with Mr. Smith and his staff at the Justice Department's headquarters in Washington in a final attempt to stave off charges, nullification of threat to control by proxy. The special counsel is also investigating efforts to overturn Mr. Trump's 2020 election loss that culminated in the riot at the US Capitol on January the 6th, 2021. The case was thrust into the public spotlight in August last year when the FBI raided Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. They recovered at least 300 classified documents, including intelligence that may have come from human assets. The raid came 2 months after Mr. Trump's lawyers said a diligent search had not turned up any more. Mr. Trump has denied, denial being the first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defense. He's denied any wrongdoing, claiming that he declassified all documents in his possession. He said that as a president can declassify information even by thinking about it. Magical thinking, sense of entitlement. Investigators have scrutinized several suspected obstruction attempts, reportedly including surveillance footage showing staff moving boxes of documents at Mar-a-Lago and audio of Mr. Trump. A significant portion of the charges are set to be filed at a nearby court in South Florida, according to the Washington Post, where he could face a significantly different jury pool to the one in Washington. However, there is still the possibility that some charges could be filed in Washington. Most of the investigation has been conducted by a grand jury in the US Capitol, which has heard testimony from dozens of witnesses, including Mr. Trump's White House advisors, Mar-a-Lago staff, and his Secret Service detail. Mr. Trump has already been indicted in a separate case involving hush money payments shortly before the 2016 election to women alleging affairs, a claim he also denies. Mr. Trump, who is the front-runner to be the Republican presidential candidate, is due to go on trial in that case next March, in the middle of the GOP primary contest. He faces a growing list of challengers, including Mike Pence, his former vice president, who said that indicting Mr. Trump would be a drastic and divisive step. Mr. Pence added, "Let me be clear that no one is above the law." A fourth investigation into Mr. Trump is underway in Georgia concerning his efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss in the state. Whether it's legitimate or not, you can make your own mind up about that, but there's certainly plenty of efforts being made to derail Mr. Trump's bid to return to the White House. He, of course, takes it in his stride, swatting back the allegations, denying them, accusing them of chicanery and hoaxes, and of course, it all feeds him the fuel that he desires, whilst at the same time allowing him to capitalize on his mindset that he's being persecuted, something which edifies him all the more and assists him with regard to his supporters. They are, in effect, giving him what he wants. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.